I think biggest thanks goes to all of you who have been involved with calling the Ohio senators, and you were able to deliver Sherrod Brown and finally Senator Voinovich. That really was the 60th vote, so that was an extreme help, and I feel like I should pass along thanks from Senator Landrieu. Without that, this bill would not have gotten passed. So deep thanks to all of the Ohioans out here, and folks in Florida, if any of you are here, for helping out with Senator Lemieux. We thought the best use of this time would be to give you a brief legislative retrospective on what has happened, highlight a few provisions that we think directly will affect you. I could chat about other parts of the bill. I'll then open it up for questions, and I'm actually very curious to know what you're all thinking about the bill, and potentially feedback for the next steps of the SBA. So this is a great opportunity for me just to have kind of a dialogue and a kind of two-way conversation. The first piece of the bill, Section 1119, this is a secondary market guarantee authority. As you know, as part of the stimulus, the SBA was given the authority to guarantee the first lien position 504 loans for the secondary market. The problem is that it never got up and running, and it was about to expire before it even was effective. So we were able to change that, and this actually came from 504 lenders and from secondary market folks. You said, it's impossible to get this thing up and running, it's going to expire, you have to extend it. We were able to extend it for 2 years, not from date of passage of the bill, because the same problem would exist, but from the first sale of a pool. And that guarantees that you at least have 2 years from the program up and running. The second piece of the bill that I personally am most excited about is the 504 refinance piece. As I'm sure you are all keenly aware, the commercial real estate market still has not recovered, and it's possibly the second leg of the financial crisis. And folks in DC have not really spent a lot of time thinking about it. Having come from the commercial real estate industry, it's something that I think about a lot, and on the committee we think about a good deal. And Senator Landrieu personally is very committed to working on commercial real estate issues. One of the ways that she hopes this bill will help is the 504 refi piece. Granted, it is not a cure-all. If you look at 504 lending as a percentage of the overall commercial real estate market, it's slim, but it's a step in the right direction, and we think it's part of an overall solution. And as you know, this would enable owner-occupied commercial real estate to refinance through the 504 program. One of the concerns that the secondary market folks had, which we thought was legitimate and a good one, was we had to make sure to limit the refi to only those loans that were not 504 to begin with. Because if you allowed 504 folks to refinance through the 504 program, that would decrease the value of the debentures on the secondary market, and we did not want to do that to the market. So we've explicitly prohibited current 504, to be able to be refinanced in the 504 refi program. Those are kind of two key pieces to the SBA portion of the bill that focuses on the 504 industry. As you probably also know, there's a lot more that has to do with other SBA lending programs that I'm sure you've been following, but the big pieces there are the increased loan limits for both 504, 7A, and express loan programs, and the ARRA stimulus provisions. And these are two things. This is the increased guarantee for the 7A loan program, going from 75% to 90%, and the fee waivers for borrowers. And we've been told both by the SBA and by lenders out there that this is key. And if you look at lending activity from when that's part of the stimulus bill expired until now, lending has dropped by about 50%. And so the hope is when this is signed into law, SBA has assured us that they'll be able to get this out within 2 to 3 days. And so that's a piece that we're particularly excited about. Senator Lancher has been committed to extending that ever since it expired. That's the SBA part of the bill. Marty and I were just chatting before about the Treasury piece, so the Small Business Lending Fund. And also where there's some CDFI folks here. The Small Business Lending Fund is what, again, this is the words my boss, a strategic private-public partnership with the Treasury Department and smaller community banks. So there's $10 billion in assets and under. So it's not for large banks. And it provides $30 billion of capital for community banks. And it's structured as a capital purchase program. So community banks can essentially borrow money from Treasury at a preferential dividend rate that they would have to pay back, and that dividend rate actually decreases with the amount of small business lending that increases. So potentially, if they increase their small business lending by 10% over 2009 baseline, then the dividend rate actually would go down to 1%. So it's essentially free money for banks who can demonstrate that they are increasing small business lending. That's one piece that we're very excited about. Treasury, it's been experience working with the Treasury Department on this. They've been wonderful and have been pushing very hard for it. That's one piece of the Treasury piece. There's another state small business credit initiative. And as you may be aware, there are already existing state programs, state capital access programs or state collateral enhancement programs. And this funnels approximately $1.5 billion to already existing programs that the federal government does not have to get involved with, but these programs would be more successful if there was more money available to them. And another piece that my boss is very excited about on the CDFI front is the CDFIs are actually eligible to borrow from the $30 billion Small Business Lending Fund. And there's another small piece for CDFIs that allows Treasury to actually guarantee debt of CDFIs. And that is kind of a new thing. It would be limited in its first couple years, but it's something that we're very curious to see what happens with it. As a general statement, I would like to reiterate or to state how keenly aware Senator Landrieu and the committee is of the symbiotic relationship, or the kind of crucial relationship between the secondary market and SBA lending. So the secondary market would not really exist if there was not kind of a robust SBA lending program in place. At the same time, SBA lending would come to a halt, and we've seen backlogs, if there is not a smoothly kind of flowing and operating secondary market. So to the extent that there are other things that you think could help the secondary market, you have a very receptive audience on the committee and with the senator, specifically in light of the commercial real estate issue that we're looking to really try to work on before it turns into a full-blown crisis. So that's the bill. I'll just mention for a few moments what we're thinking about going forward, the legislative next steps, and then we can open up for questions. As you're probably aware as well, we passed the Senate bill on Thursday, which was a good day for my boss, for the committee. It has not passed the House yet. The earliest possible date at which they would vote would be Wednesday evening. Tomorrow evening, they're actually not voting. They're not going to vote until tomorrow evening. More likely it would be Thursday, but it's possible that it would happen Wednesday. We have not been guaranteed by the House that they're going to pass it as is. Everything that we're hearing suggests that they would pass the bill as in its current form to prevent any further delays, and the White House and Treasury just want to get this done as soon as possible. And we've heard from the Financial Services Committee and from the Ways and Means Committee that they are on board with our bill. House leadership also seems to be on board, but there are some other areas that are still up in the air. If any of you have heard otherwise, I'd be very curious. And then we've also been told that the earliest possible presidential signing would not be this week, even if it's passed Wednesday night or Thursday, but the earliest presidential signing would be next week.